A massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, especially these days. 8 different settings, adjustable intensity, plus it's heated, and it just feels so good. Yes, a massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, but when it can come with a car, suddenly it seems quite practical. The all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, packed with premium features like available massaging front seats, it only feels extravagant.
You just realized that you needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people that you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? Well, in the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Just go to Indeed.com/BWN right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
And away we go. Episode 1117 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. It is the day of the first full team practice at 2025 Commanders training camp. The team's offseason is done. Training camp now begins, and we say hello and welcome to this Wednesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast, on which we talk Commanders on every episode, no matter the time of year. This is a podcast for which there is a new episode each weekday, Monday through Friday, with each episode out by 5 a.m. Eastern, and so often much earlier than that. Great to have you with us. 2025 Commanders training camp is happening at the team facility in Ashburn, Virginia, and it was at that team facility that we on Tuesday morning had a joint press conference for General Manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn. AP and DQ speaking at length about a number of topics. Next segment, reaction to and discussion of what Peters said about receiver Terry McLaurin's stalled contract extension negotiations, which resulted in him reportedly no-showing on Tuesday. We'll see if he no-shows on Wednesday, but he no-showed on Tuesday from ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter in a post on X on Tuesday afternoon. Quote, Washington WR, Terry McLaurin, who is seeking a new contract, did not report to training camp today, per source. McLaurin was not present for the Commanders' conditioning test today that marked an unofficial start of training camp. All other players are present and accounted for, just not McLaurin, end quote. Is Terry McLaurin, in fact, holding out? Is McLaurin going to show up on Wednesday for the purpose of conducting a hold-in? He faces a fine of $50,000 per each day of him no-showing training camp. Also next segment, conversation about edge defender Von Miller off notable comments from Adam Peters, and conversation about quarterback Jayden Daniels off notable comments from Dan Quinn. And then the following segment, we'll get into the state of the Commanders roster as training camp begins. Is the roster better than the team's roster for last season? Is the team too old? That and more off comments from Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. Also on the show, I'll talk Nationals and Orioles. The Nats, they on Tuesday evening beat the Cincinnati Reds 6-1 at Nationals Park. The O's, they on Tuesday evening lost at the Cleveland Guardians 6-3. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. As was the case on Tuesday's show, episode 1116, I am confining any Redskins name discussion discussion on this installment of the podcast to this feedback portion in the opening segment of the show. Commanders training camp is starting. Adam Peters and Dan Quinn spoke at length on Tuesday morning. Football is the focus, but the name thing remains a thing, no doubt. I have received a ton of feedback to a post on X by me on Sunday evening. I on Sunday evening posted a video of the Redskins celebrating and fans at FedEx Field singing "Hail to the Redskins" late in the fourth quarter of one of the greatest wins in franchise history, the 28-18 win over the Dallas Cowboys at FedEx Field on Sunday Night Football on December 30th, 2012 to win the NFC East, completing the Skins' run of going from 3-6 to 10-6 in the 2012 regular season. I posted the video off the posts from President Donald Trump on Truth Social earlier on Sunday, calling for the Commanders to go back to being the Redskins, including a post in which he threatened to derail the team's deal for a stadium on the RFK Stadium site in Washington, D.C. And I posted the video that I posted, not as some political statement. Like I said on Tuesday's show, I'm not a fan of a politician, Republican or Democrat, dictating a branding decision for a private business. Me posting the video was me paying homage to a special night and to how united we were as a fan base on that night, and to how special the name Redskins is to so many people. From Big Doug on X, I'll take the 2 wins in the playoffs last season, Al. Thank you for that, Big Doug. Big Doug's a good guy. He has had me on his podcast multiple times. From Felix on X, I was here. I was playing in the band. Still rather have last season over a name and logo. Easily. Y'all need to grow up. Thank you for that, Felix. Y'all need to grow up. What a nice, non-condescending thing to say. I cannot stand this take of I'd rather have the success of last season over the team being the Redskins again. What does one thing have to do with the other? I mean, maybe I'm missing something here, okay? Maybe I am intellectually limited to the point at which I can't grasp this, but what does one thing have to do with the other? If you think that the name Redskins is bad and should stay retired, fine. But if you wish that the team would go back to being the Redskins, how does that preclude you wanting the team to win? How would the team going back to Redskins preclude the team from winning? One has nothing to do with the other. I'd rather have the success of last season over the team being the Redskins again. That cracks me up. Hey, you know what? I'd rather that the team have won 0 games last season, but that there be world peace, okay? There you go. See what I did there? What does one thing have to do with the other? I don't know, but that's the line of thinking that some people seem to be going with right now. And this ridiculous take is related to another ridiculous take, which is I want the team to focus on winning and not on the name. Why can't the team do both? Again, one thing has nothing to do with the other. The team has a football operations department led by General Manager Adam Peters and, wait for it, has a business operations department led by Team President Mark Klaus. If the team can't focus on both winning and branding, then we have bigger problems than we realize, okay? I mean, people every day focus on more than one thing. So many of you listening every day focus on your families and your jobs. There you go. 2 things at once. Imagine that. For the record, my stance on the name Redskins is as follows. I will always be a massive fan of the team regardless of the name. But I hate how the name Redskins went away. I hate the lying/misleading narrative of why the name went away. I hate the rampant hypocrisy with the issue. I believe that the only people whose opinions on the name should impact the usage of the name are Native Americans. I would never want the team to be the Redskins again if the name truly is offensive to a significant number of Native Americans, but the data on that issue is mixed and limited, and there seems to be zero appetite on the part of the NFL or the media to conduct a good faith, politically neutral, widespread deep dive into whether a significant number of Native Americans truly find the name Redskins to be offensive. From DMV Sports on X, first Kevin's tweet, now this, are y'all hopeful or is there legit motion behind the scenes right now? Thank you for that, DMV Sports. So here is what I believe regarding the name Redskins and regarding the Redskins logo of the proud Native American warrior based on recent conversations. Number one, I do believe that the name Redskins coming back remains extremely unlikely. I never say never, and you never know with Trump, but the team, as best as I can tell, has no plans to go back to being the Redskins. Number two, I do believe that the team bringing back the Redskins logo of the proud Native American warrior is a possibility. Now, in what capacity is hard to say. Maybe as a uniform patch, maybe as a helmet logo for a retro uniform, maybe as something more. I don't know, but I can tell you that the team bringing back the Redskins logo of the proud Native American warrior is a possibility. This has been building for a while. The team is very aware of how well received its Redskins-like alternate uniform for the 2025 season has been. And I believe that there are people with the team who very much would like to see that logo back in some way. Now, no guarantees, but remember, the logo now is displayed in multiple parts of Northwest Stadium. The team these days is posting plenty of footage in which that logo is visible, and that logo is no longer being censored by the NFL, as was the case less than 2 years ago. Remember, the NFL in February 2024 on X put out Super Bowl-themed posts in which the league censored the Redskins helmet with the proud Native American warrior. Hey, if you are a Commanders fan and you're looking for good conversation about the team, check out bgobsession.com. BG Obsession, or BGO, has been the home of the most knowledgeable, friendly, and passionate Washington fans on the web since 2009. BGO is a special place in which you can join your fellow fans for smart football discussion, great contests, game day chats, and even lifelong friendships. If you are turned off by the toxicity of social media, visit and join BGO at bgobsession.com. bgobsession.com, home to your burgundy and gold obsession.
You just realized that you needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people that you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? Well, in the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Just go to Indeed.com/BWN right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, and maybe even a whole new life. So why not start the journey today? There's over a dozen languages available to learn at your own pace so you can achieve your goals with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I'm finally learning French after taking classes in high school and thrilled to finish what I'd started years ago. And my favorite part about Babbel is that it's dialogue-based. It helps me to actually practice conversations, and the speech recognition ensures I'm saying words correct them all. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/bluewire. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/bluewire, spelled BABBEL.com/bluewire. Babbel.com/bluewire. Rules and restrictions may apply.
If you are listening to this podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can rate the podcast with a star rating. 5-star ratings are greatly appreciated. They help us out a lot. Thank you for doing them. The first full-team practice of 2025 Commanders training camp is on Wednesday. Rookie players reported for camp this past Friday. Veteran players reported for camp on Tuesday. And Commanders general manager Adam Peters and Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, they did a joint press conference on Tuesday morning. The presser started around 10:45, lasted for about 27 minutes. And a major topic during the presser, of course, was receiver Terry McLaurin, who, as best as we can tell, remains in the midst of stalled contract extension negotiations with the team. This presser happened 1 week to the day of McLaurin on July 15th in a 32-plus minute session with reporters in essentially a podcast sounding off on his frustration with the negotiations. And so we on Tuesday morning had this back and forth between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Adam Peters.
All right, Adam, this one, we'll start off with the fun stuff right away for you. What has been communicated to you about Terry, whether reporting or not reporting? What's been communicated to you about him?
Yeah, we haven't spoken about that, but just like with really all of our players, we're expecting everybody to be here today.
And then for both of you, he talked a lot last week about his situation, a lot of frustration. He talked about wanting to feel valued. I'm curious what you guys thought about that. And then, Adam, if you can talk about where things do stand with him as far as an extension.
Yeah, I mean, first I think, without a doubt, I think everybody in this building values Terry very much. And we knew that coming in, and we knew that even more after spending a year with him. In terms of where we're at, we've had conversations recently, and we'll look to have some more conversations, and we're going to do everything we can in order to get a deal done.
All right, Adam Peters right there giving answers that were vanilla and that were to the point and that revealed nothing and that expressed zero emotion. And that was exactly the way that Peters needed to answer those questions. I can't imagine that Peters was thrilled with a lot of what Terry McLaurin said in that session with reporters on July 15th. Heck, McLaurin called what the team was offering him, quote, disrespectful, end quote. But it would have done zero good for Peters on Tuesday morning to get caught up in any kind of a back and forth with McLaurin. And here's the thing. Terry McLaurin on July 15th said that he wants to sign a contract extension with the Commanders, and I believed him when he said that. And Adam Peters on Tuesday morning said that the team wants to sign McLaurin to a contract extension, and I believed Peters when he said that. McLaurin wants to be here, and the team wants him to be here. That's a recipe for a deal getting done. To whatever extent there is acrimony, each side wants to be in business with the other side, and that is significant, and that should not be lost here. This dynamic does usually result in a deal getting done. The most significant contract extension that the Commanders have gotten done since Adam Peters was hired as GM in January 2024 was the contract extension for right guard Samuel Cosmi. That extension was not announced until last September 4th. Peters, prior to being hired by the Commanders, was an executive for the San Francisco 49ers. How about the dates on which two prominent contracts for the Niners during Peters' time with the team got done? A contract extension for edge defender Nick Bosa, September 8th, 2023. A reworked contract for left tackle and former Redskin Trent Williams, September 3rd, 2024. So, Cosmi, Bosa, Williams, all getting done in a September. Are we looking at a Terry McLaurin contract extension with the Commanders not getting done until September? We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between Washington Post columnist Barry Svrluga and Adam Peters.
Adam, if I'm not mistaken, I think you were involved with a couple of kind of longer holdouts in San Francisco, Bosa and Trent Williams, that didn't end until like early September. Like, is this just part of the process for you? Are you calm about it, or what's the sense of urgency when a deal hasn't gotten done and camp is starting?
Yeah, I think those were I wasn't so much directly involved, but I was a part of it, so I understood how it went, and a lot of contract. I think that's just kind of the nature of our business. You would like to get these things done quicker than longer, but it's not always going to happen that way. So I think for me, just seeing those things secondhand, really, not firsthand, but understanding how that went, just understanding that first of all, we're dealing with a really, in the case of Terry, a really good player and a really good person. So really understanding that and never losing sight of that, and making sure that, every conversation we have is very, straightforward, honest, and in good faith, and just keeping that mindset throughout, because there's going to be twists and turns, but just having, that confidence and just understanding that our goal is to get a long-term deal done, and so just keeping focused on that, and whatever happens along the way, just understand that he's a great player and we want to keep him here.
I want the Commanders to sign Terry McLaurin to a contract extension. I do not want Adam Peters signing any player to a contract extension with which Peters isn't comfortable. The age thing with McLaurin is tricky. He's entering his age 30 season, for which he's under contract. A contract extension would start with his age 31 season. Most high-level NFL receivers are in their 20s. But McLaurin does profile as a receiver who should age well, and there is a proper price point here, a price point at which McLaurin feels valued and the Commanders feel comfortable. And remember, there are ways to structure contracts so that if there is some drastic drop-off with the player, the team can get out of the contract fairly easily. But we still don't know what the Commanders are offering McLaurin. We still don't know what McLaurin's asking for, so we don't know if either side is being unreasonable. Meantime, the Commanders on Tuesday morning announced having released running back Michael Wiley. This was the corresponding roster move to the team on Monday afternoon, officially announcing the signing of unrestricted free agent edge defender Von Miller. Miller is entering his age 36 season, but he still can play. He had some very good advanced stats for the Buffalo Bills this past season. Adam Peters on Tuesday morning on the signing of Von Miller.
Just touch base on the recent signing. We signed Von Miller yesterday, and just really excited to add him to the fold too. Not only is he one of the best pass rushers of all time, but he's equally incredible in the locker room, and we're going to continue to bring guys like that in the locker room. So really excited about that move.
So the Commanders reportedly signed Von Miller to a one-year, $6.1 million contract with an upside of $10.5 million via incentives. A perfectly sensible contract from a team perspective, a no-risk, high-upside contract if he performs as he did this past season. Miller was taken by the Denver Broncos out of Texas A&M with the number 2 overall pick in the 2011 NFL Draft. Adam Peters worked for the Broncos for 8 seasons, 2009 through 2016, so he was in the Broncos front office when they drafted Miller, and then over Miller's prime years with the Broncos. They're with Miller, though, is off-the-field concern. Miller was suspended by the NFL without pay for the Broncos for 6 games of the 2013 regular season. This for violating the NFL's policy and program for substances of abuse. And Miller this past October served a 4-game suspension. The NFL on October 1st, 2024 announced that Miller had been suspended for 4 games without pay. This for violating the league's personal conduct policy. The suspension appeared to stem from Miller allegedly having assaulted his pregnant girlfriend in November 2023 in suburban Dallas during the Bills' bye week. Miller turned himself into police on November 30th, 2024 on an arrest warrant for a charge of third-degree felony assault of a pregnant woman. He was booked into a jail that afternoon, then was released on $5,000 bond, but no charges were ever filed. We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Liam Griffin of the Washington Times and Adam Peters.
For Adam, you had mentioned your past relationship with Von Miller and his kind of value in the locker room, but from the outside looking in, he's also someone who's had a couple of off-field suspensions in the past. So when you're maybe talking to fans, how heavily do you weigh those kind of off-field concerns and try to relay that to fans when you're making those kinds of decisions?
Yeah, it's a great question, and certainly, there's a lot of people, a lot of players. You look into we always look into everybody's background, right? And some are more public than others, but there's always things where people make mistakes. We're all human beings, and you look at those each kind of individually, each situation individually, try to get the most information you can and make the decision based off that. It's not always, what you read. It's not always, what you hear first off. We all know that in the news. You really got to do your own work, and we have a lot of people that do that for us. And then you either are comfortable with it or you're not. And with Vaughn, knowing the type of person he is, knowing, the nature of situations, we felt really comfortable with that. And we did a lot of research to back that.
Yeah, look, when it comes to Von Miller, the person, you have to hope that Adam Peters knows Miller well and that Peters' judgment is correct. Who knows what the truth is with what happened between Miller and his pregnant girlfriend in November 2023. Obviously, if he did assault her, that's horrendous. That is a cowardly, gutless act. You hope like heck he did not do that. It's hard to see Peters signing Miller if Peters believes that Miller is a bad person who, assaults pregnant women, okay? And so you wonder if there is more to the story than has become public. Like I said, no charges were ever filed. Not that that means that Miller definitely is innocent, but perhaps there is more to the story than has become public. What about the Commanders' need for Von Miller, given the team's lack of obvious high-end talent at edge defender? We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig and Adam Peters.
Adam, with regards to Von Miller, how much was just obviously his career speaks for itself, but how much was it like watching OTAs and minicamp thinking we need a little more, or was it sort of the plan to kind of add somebody all along?
Yeah, I think just in our conversations with DQ and myself and the staff, we did see, pass rusher is something we still wanted to add throughout the time. During free agency, we looked to add a few guys and didn't work out. So, but we saved some money aside really in order to do this and find out the best guy out there. And I've had a lot of history with Vaughn and know the type of person he is. Obviously, his play speaks for himself. And when you turn on the tape from last year, I was like shocked to see how good he still was and how well he got off the ball and just what type of impact he had on the field, and knowing the type of impact he had in the locker room in Denver, and then getting unsolicited calls from the teams that he's been on since then talking about what a great guy he is. That really made it a really easy decision for us to bring him in. We brought him in a couple weeks ago, or I don't know, it's been a few weeks now, but had a great meeting with him and just knew he was the right guy to bring in, so we're thrilled to have him.
Interesting that Adam Peters admitted that he and Dan Quinn did want to add a legitimate pass rusher to the team. So they did have the same worry that a lot of Commanders fans had, that the team was lacking at edge defender. Now, Von Miller on the Commanders YouTube show, Next Man Up, in an installment that came out on Monday, admitted that one of the biggest reasons that he signed with the Commanders is the QB1, Jayden Daniels. How about Daniels as he now begins his second NFL training camp, this off an all-time great NFL rookie season? We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Dan Quinn.
This question's for Dan. Obviously, you're a rookie quarterback, not a rookie anymore. Jayden Daniels had a pretty good year last year. So what's the next step, the evolution of Jayden Daniels? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think more growth. And one thing I've learned over the year from Jayden, and there's no limits on him, because this is somebody that absolutely is a savage from a work standpoint and just absolutely puts it in. So the skill work, the techniques, the knowledge of the offense, all of those things are going to be enhanced. And he's thrown himself an excellent offseason. We had a good conversation on the phone just the other night, chopping it up about the team, the summer, the offseason, and you can feel his energy. And just walking out here, when you walk into our building, there's a lot of energy with our team, and he's right in the middle of all that. But I would never count him out or, put him, mistake him for not doing anything other than absolutely emptying the tank to go for it.
I love the way that Dan Quinn talks about Jayden Daniels. Maybe the best thing that Quinn said about Daniels on Tuesday morning came via this exchange with Commanders insider David Harrison of SI.com. Take a listen.
You talked before about second-year players in the NFL, just general second-year players taking that biggest leap this season. How early can you kind of hope to really see signs of that expansion of their talents?
Yeah, we had about, 10 rookies or so that were on the roster, maybe the 53 either at some point or most of the time last season. And that's pretty traditional that you see this jump happen from like year one to year two. So this spring, man, did we see it in Sinnott, and we saw it in Newton and Jordan McGee and others. One I think that's unusual, and they'll get better, but Jayden and Mikey, they kind of corrected it in season. They didn't have to wait till the off season. I think that speaks a little bit to their rarity. Like, it's normal to fight your ass off in the season and take your lumps, and then in the off season, I got to get better at this, I got to work on this. Those two, with the experience they had, they kind of self-corrected faster. That didn't mean they didn't get better this spring, but we are really excited to see Javante and Brandon and some of the others in this role that they're going into their second year. It's a big deal, and most of it, David, is confidence. You know, I've done this, I know what to do, I worked on this skill. And once you get to that space where you're not relying on just your talent anymore, but the skill that you've developed at the position, that's the secret sauce, man. If you can get those skills right, and it takes oftentimes into that second or third year to do that. So we're excited to see the work they put in take place out here on the field.
So how about that? Dan Quinn saying that Jayden Daniels and cornerback Mikey Sainristil are so evolved as players that they, during their rookie seasons, enacted corrections, the likes of which most rookies don't put into effect until the off seasons after those players' rookie seasons. Super impressive. You know, the Commanders on June 9th held what they called their media day, which included taking a bunch of publicity photos of players. There was a photo of Jayden Daniels and Mikey Sainristil in their uniforms, posing like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, a la the movie Step Brothers. That was pretty funny. So we have maturity, we have good humor, in effect, with Jayden Daniels and Mikey Sainristil. Hey, are you looking to upgrade the heart of your home? Whether it's time to repair your gas fireplace, modernize your hearth, or simply add more comfort and style, Nova Fireplace and Stove is Northern Virginia's go-to expert for heat, safety, and home transformation. Nova Fireplace and Stove is a family-owned, fully licensed, and insured company with over-the-top credentials, gas and electrical master's licenses, a Class A contractor's license, and a long list of 5-star reviews to back all of this up. Nova Fireplace and Stove has a beautiful showroom in Woodbridge, Virginia. That's where your dream fireplace begins. Come in and see Nova Fireplace and Stove's stunning displays, including custom fireplace glass doors and stone refacing options that can completely transform the look of your fireplace. From sleek and modern to rustic and cozy, Nova Fireplace and Stove has something for every style. And here's what else Nova Fireplace and Stove offers: gas fireplace service and repair, chimney cleaning and brickwork repair, generator installation, panel replacements and water heater repairs, smoke detectors, security lights, and more. Every job includes a free in-home estimate. And for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast, Nova Fireplace and Stove is offering $25 off any service. Just mention this ad. Nova Fireplace and Stove only works in Northern Virginia, and this knows the homes, the codes, and the people. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed because Nova Fireplace and Stove takes pride in every flame that is lit and every customer who is served. So stop by the showroom, see what's possible, and let Nova Fireplace and Stove help you bring warmth, safety, and style to your space. You could also visit NovaFireplaceandStove.com. Nova Fireplace and Stove, where comfort meets craftsmanship and your fireplace becomes the heart of your home. More now from the joint pre-training camp press conference of Commanders General Manager Adam Peters and Commanders head coach Dan Quinn on Tuesday morning. Here was Dan Quinn during his opening statement of Tuesday morning's press conference.
All right, welcome to training camp. And as you get started in a training camp, everybody looks at the schedule and who's the first opponent. And we look at that differently, as we are the first opponent. And honestly, it's a pretty tough matchup. And I know you hear a lot of coaches through the years have said iron sharpens iron, and there's a lot of truth to that. And we have a hell of a lot of iron that's going to be on this field. So thanks to Adam and his crew, we're ready to get this thing rocking. At the start of it, competition, that's what drives training camp. And that's over the next 5 to 6 weeks. And if you really love ball and your teammates and a really hard-ass challenge, training camp's kind of the coolest part to do that. you can imagine a DB trying to match wits with Jayden, or being a running back in the open field against Bobby Wagner and that kind of tackle, like the guy's absolute tackling G. Can you beat him? Or a defensive end going against Laramie Tunsil, or a guard against Payne. All these little matchups helps you bring out your best going against their best. And each summer, everybody asks me, hey, what's your favorite part of training camp? And I point to that. I say, it's always the competition and seeing these matchups and seeing what goes on. And so that's why we love it so much. It's that time, and we get to do that together. So I'm fired up to get rocking with you guys. I know AP's going to have an opener as well, and then we'll get into some questions and get the whole thing rolling. Cool?
I tell you, Dan Quinn gives good opening statements to his press conferences. Quinn gives inspirational opening statements to his pressers. Adam Peters, during his opening statement to the presser on Tuesday morning, actually said that his opening statements pale in comparison to Quinn's. That was pretty funny. But the most notable item from Peters during his opening statement of Tuesday morning's presser was him talking about the major improvements at the place at which he was speaking, the Commanders team facility, what officially is Ortho Virginia Training Center at Commanders Park in Ashburn, Virginia. Commanders ownership, the Josh Harris Group, is spending millions of dollars in upgrading what had been maybe/probably the worst team facility in the NFL. Here was Peters on Tuesday morning.
Really excited for this year. I know there's a lot of excitement last year, and this year feels even more for myself in terms of just what we've built here and what our ownership has allowed us to build. And you see, you won't be able to see everything right now, but as you guys get into it, we've done a lot of improvements to really everything here. We got a new bubble. I'm sure you guys have seen that out there. The fields look incredible. Shout out to Pete Benevento and his crew. But really, when you guys get into the building and the things that Josh has allowed us to build for the players, really proud of that and really thankful for that. We have a new locker room. We have new meeting rooms. We have a new nutrition center. Like I said, new bubble. It just goes on in terms of the things that we've been able to do. Tons of new recovery stuff for our players. So we're really proud of all that and really thankful to Josh and Mark Klaus and his crew for making this all happen.
The Josh Harris Group spending a ton of money on improving the Commanders team facility, a continuation of this ownership group spending on infrastructure. That is huge. Cannot say enough about the importance of that. The Commanders and Jayden Daniels having what I call the holy grail of the NFL, the great quarterback on a rookie contract, has quickly shifted them into win-now mode. Daniels being so good expedited the rebuild to where it lasted for one season. That was it. And so the team has made win-now moves. So the Commanders this past March traded for left tackle Laramie Tunsil and receiver Deebo Samuel Sr. in separate deals. The Commanders on Monday afternoon announced the signing of unrestricted free agent edge defender Von Miller. All of this in addition to the team in March re-signing notable veterans like linebacker Bobby Wagner and tight end Zach Ertz. That is the behavior of a win-now team. We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Liam Griffin of the Washington Times and Adam Peters.
I'm sure Coach would hate saying win now because every season's a win now season. But the moves that you guys made this offseason, trading for Deebo, trading for Laramie, signing Vaughn, those are all very trying to capitalize off of last season. When you're looking at building this roster to contend, how much do you weigh Jayden's contract, whereas how valuable it is now and how much he's probably going to be making in a few years?
Yeah, that's a good question, too. I think, you always want to build your roster to win now and then win in the future. And I think the moves that we made, those allow us to do both, really, with the nature of those whether the deals or the contracts or however you say it. But, we're always looking to field as good of a team as we can every year. And however we can do that, we'll do that. And without mortgaging the future. In terms of Jayden's, he's on his rookie deal, so that does give us more financial flexibility. But we were just talking about this the other day. I mean, out of the 4 teams that were in the championship game, we were the only one that had a quarterback on his rookie contract still. So it's still possible to win after you pay a quarterback. And so, whether you talk about a window, I don't know what a window is in terms of that. Hopefully our window is as long as we're here, and that's what we're building for.
And that was a really good point by Adam Peters. Yes, having a great quarterback on a rookie contract is awesome, but it's not like that is a prerequisite to having success. The other three teams playing on Championship Sunday this past January 26, in addition to our team, all had QB1s on big money contracts. The Philadelphia Eagles' Jalen Hurts, the Kansas City Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes, and the Buffalo Bills' Josh Allen. Is the Commanders' roster now on par with the rosters of the NFL elite? We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Adam Peters.
Adam, for you, comparing your feelings about the roster construction last year at this time versus to where you are today going into your second training camp in Washington. Give me your feelings, differences about just how you feel overall about the roster construction, what this team looks like right now compared to where it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think we're better. I would, but really just it was cool to see the players that we hadn't been with last year get so much better and get so much closer last year and work together, and then all the players that we drafted get so much better, and then bringing in a lot of guys from through trades or free agency this year and see how those guys mesh together too. So really like impressed with the job that DQ's done in bringing everybody together. I think that's probably the coolest thing. And from year 0 to year 1 and then year 1 to year 2, continuing that. So I think we have a better roster. That doesn't always mean you're going to have more or less wins, but certainly really excited about the group that we have together, not just the talent, but just the people.
I do think that the Commanders roster right now is better than it was last season, but there is a significant caveat, and that is age. The Commanders and guys like Bobby Wagner and Von Miller and Zach Ertz have guys who still are productive, but who are older and thus could fall off at any moment. If they this coming season do fall off, then the roster may not prove to be better than last season's roster. Aging in the NFL is funny. For a lot of players, the decline is not gradual. It's sudden and steep. And a guy can still be good one season, but then in the next season, he just completely falls off the cliff. The average age of the Commanders' entire active roster as of July 7th, if you included Von Miller, was an NFL high 27 years and 291 days. We on Tuesday morning had this exchange between Mitch Tischler of Monumental Sports Network and Adam Peters.
For Adam, the Commanders have the oldest roster in the NFL. I guess first, how does that hit you? And second, is that kind of based on the dearth of talent or playable players that were here when you came in? How does that go? How does that happen?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of factors that go into that, and there are a ton of factors that go into that. But I think really, signing guys like Bobby or Zach, those guys, I think we showed last year, people thought we brought them in to be like coaches on the field, but and certainly they are. They pass along a ton of knowledge, not just to the guys in their position group, but to guys across the whole defense or the offense. And Bobby and Jayden have a great relationship too, understanding and making each other better. But we saw with those guys, they're still really, really good players, and that goes the same for a guy like Vaughn. He's older, but he's still got a lot in the tank. So we're going to look for great players that fit us, and whether they're 22 or 35, if they can help us win, we're gonna bring them in.
Well, as we have discussed, the Commanders having a lot of older players is a function primarily of two things. A, the team's 4 years of bad drafts with Ron Rivera as head coach in charge of player personnel, to say nothing of the team's bad drafting before then. And B, the team now being in win-now mode due to Jayden Daniels being so good. Being old is not a roster construction goal of Adam Peters. The team being old is due to multiple circumstances. I wouldn't say that I'm fearful about the team's age, but you do want to be aware of the age. It is something to consider as a possible downfall for the team. But of course, the team is very young at the most important spot of all, QB1. Hey, if you are planning a party, a family reunion, a wedding, a corporate gathering, and aren't sure where to start or what to do, no worries, no stress. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Catering by Uptown is run by the Pereiras, who are great Commanders fans and loyal supporters of this podcast. Catering by Uptown provides both great service and a great price. Catering by Uptown is a family business, and it specializes in handling everything so that you don't have to. Catering by Uptown understands that special events deserve to be celebrated in style. Catering by Uptown takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. Catering by Uptown is committed to meeting your needs and exceeding your expectations. Great service, amazing cuisine, and reliability are the foundation of what makes Catering by Uptown one of the most referred caterers throughout Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia. And know this, if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can set up your own personal tour of one of Catering by Uptown's premier venues, including outstanding waterfront venues. Catering by Uptown offers the ability to coordinate services at over 100 of the best reception halls, vineyards, farms, historic homes, event venues, banquet facilities, and wedding venues in the area. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Well, the Nationals have not swept a series of at least 3 games since sweeping a 3-game series at the Orioles May 16th through the 18th. It was during that series that the O's fired manager Brandon Hyde. But the Nats now are a win away from a 3-game sweep of the Cincinnati Reds. A 6-1 win over the Reds at Nationals Park on Tuesday evening in Game 2 of a 3-game series. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 41-60. It has not been often this season that the Nats have solved a starting pitcher who is giving them problems in a game, but the Nats on Tuesday evening did just that. The Red starting pitcher was Chase Burns. He had an odd final line, 6 runs, 5 earned in 5 2/3 innings, but with 10 strikeouts versus 2 walks. The Nats scored a run in the bottom of the 4th, 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th, and 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th. The Nats, off initially struggling against Burns, figured him out. The Nats for the game scored 6 runs on just 7 hits, which were a home run, 3 doubles, and 3 singles. The Nats worked just 2 walks, but went 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Another good game for Josh Bell. Man, is he hot. He is the Nats starting DH and number 3 batter. Went 1 for 3 with a solo homer and a walk. Bell in the Nats' 1-run 4th had a 1-out solo homer to right field to tie the game at 1. Josh Bell for this month of July now has an OPS of 1,018. You go, Josh Bell. Drive up that stock as a trade chip as we approach the 2025 MLB trade deadline on July 31st at 6 p.m. Eastern. Bell, a veteran on a 1-year contract. He 100% should be dealt by this Nats team. C.J. Abrams, he is the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, went 1 for 4 with an RBI double. Abrams in the Nats' 2-run 5th had a 2-out RBI double to the right field corner on a 1-2 pitch for a 3-1 Nats lead. Jacob Young, he is the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter, went 1 for 2 with an RBI double and a hit by pitch. Young in that Nats' 2-run 5th had a 2-out first pitch RBI double to the left center field gap for a 2-1 Nats lead. And Riley Adams, he is the Nats starting catcher and number 8 batter, went 1 for 3 with a single on which he got 2 RBI, but 3 runs scored. Adams in a Nats 3-run 6 had a 2-out bases-loaded opposite field single into right field and 3 runs scored on the play thanks to a throwing error by Reds right fielder Jake Fraley. Adams right now is serving as the Nats' number 1 catcher with Keibert Ruiz back on the 7-day concussion injured list. Adams for this month of July now has an OPS of 734. Not spectacular, but he had been having a really bad season, is having a decent month. Here was Nats interim manager Miguel Cairo during his post-game press conference on Tuesday night on the Nats solving Chase Burns, and then you'll hear multiple follow-up exchanges.
He was throwing, I gotta tell you, that was a nasty slider. And when we, the soon JB, he make a mistake with that slider, JB taking deep, and all of a sudden he start throwing a little more fastball, and that's when, everyone start hitting. So, credit to the hitters. They take a good at bat. They made adjustment when the game going on, and that was a beautiful base hit by Riley, staying short to the ball, base hit to right field, and it's everyone contribute today. So.
You mentioned the Josh Bell homer on that slider. I guess how does that changed the game, like how it changed you guys, and also how Burns approaches you guys?
I think because, he was throwing that slider, it was pretty nasty, and he was dominating with it. As soon as he made a mistake with that, he just changed the dynamic of how he was pitching, and, we take advantage of that.
What does it say about the mentality of this team that they stuck with it to make that adjustment?
And we're coming, and, they're playing with energy, they're having fun. I'm going to tell you, that they want to play it. They're doing the little things right, and, we just got to, one day at a time, keep growing, keep getting better, and at the end of the season, you will see the difference, how as a team, we clean up a lot of the little mistakes that we were doing.
All right, this was a very well-pitched game for the Nats. The Nats starting pitcher in this 6-1 win over the Reds on Tuesday evening was Brad Lord, who is back in the Nats rotation. The Nats took Lord in the 18th round of the 2022 MLB draft out of the University of South Florida. He this past offseason worked at Home Depot, but he made the Nats regular season opening active roster. He began this regular season in the Nats bullpen, then was moved to the Nats rotation while starting pitcher Michael Soroka was on the 15-day injured list due to a right arm bicep strain, then was moved back to the bullpen once Soroka was back from the 15-day IL, and now has been moved back to the rotation off the team optioning starting pitcher Shinosuke Ogasawara back to AAA Rochester on July 12th. Lord, during his initial stint in the Nats rotation, did a good job and was showing improvement, and Lord on Tuesday evening did a good job. He allowed 1 run in 4 innings. He gave up 6 hits, which were a double and 5 singles. He issued no walks. He did record just 1 strikeout, but he was pitch efficient, and he threw a lot of strikes. He, over his 4 innings, threw just 50 pitches, 34 strikes versus just 16 balls. And the Nats bullpen in this 6-1 win over the Reds on Tuesday evening was great. 4 Nats relievers combined for 5 scoreless innings. Connor Pilkington, he tossed 2 perfect innings with 3 swinging strikeouts, all of which came in the top of the 6th and were of the Reds' numbers 2 through 4 batters in Matt McLain, Ellie De La Cruz, and former Oriole Austin Hayes. What a job by Connor Pilkington. The Nats on Tuesday afternoon announced having selected the contract of Pilkington from AAA Rochester and announced having option reliever Mason Thompson to Rochester. Pilkington signed with the Nats as a minor league free agent this past December 3rd. The Nats needed a fresh bullpen arm given that Brad Lord has not yet been properly stretched out to be a starting pitcher again, and Pilkington very much came through. Luis Garcia, he tossed a scoreless top of the 7th. Andrew Chafin, he tossed a scoreless top of the 8th, despite giving up back-to-back 2-out singles and then issuing a 2-out wild pitch. And Andre Laura tossed a scoreless top of the 9th. Game 3 for the Nats against the Reds at Nationals Park. Wednesday afternoon at 12:05, Michael Soroka will be the Nats starting pitcher. And you can put your knowledge of the Nats and the O's to work for you on Prize Picks, which is offering free cash to listeners of this podcast. Download the Prize Picks app and use the promo code GALDI, my last name, GALDI. You do that, you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks Pick'em is available in Virginia and Washington, D.C. You just pick more or less on players in various statistical categories like RBI or strikeouts. And Prize Picks Streak has arrived in Maryland. You make a free daily pick. Just choose more or less on one featured player projection each day and build your streak by winning for 2 or more days. Each correct pick grows your streak. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app, and Prize Picks is offering a special deal to listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. Download the app and use the promo code GALDI, my last name, GALDI. You do that, you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is awesome. I've used it. It's a ton of fun. It's easy to use. You make your picks in less than 60 seconds. You can turn your opinions into real money on Prize Picks and take advantage of what Prize Picks is offering to listeners of this podcast. Download the app, use the promo code GALDI, and you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
You just realized that you needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people that you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? Well, in the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Just go to Indeed.com/BWN right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, and maybe even a whole new life. So why not start the journey today? There's over a dozen languages available to learn at your own pace so you can achieve your goals with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I'm finally learning French after taking classes in high school and thrilled to finish what I'd started years ago. And my favorite part about Babbel is that it's dialogue-based. It helps me to actually practice conversations, and the speech recognition ensures I'm saying words correctement. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at Babbel.com/BlueWire. Get up to 55% off at Babbel.com/BlueWire. Spelled BABBEL.com/BlueWire. Babbel.com/BlueWire. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So the Orioles have gone from winning 6 out of 7 games to now losing 6 out of 7 games. A 6-3 loss at the Cleveland Guardians on Tuesday evening in Game 2 of a 4-game series. The O's in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 44-56. And any realistic hope of the O's creeping back into realistic wildcard contention as we approach the 2025 MLB trade deadline on July 31st at 6 p.m. Eastern is fading fast. Bad pitching for the O's on Tuesday evening. Brandon Young was the Orioles starting pitcher. He officially allowed 3 runs in 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 4 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 2 singles. He issued 3 walks. He recorded 3 strikeouts. He threw 73 pitches, 45 strikes versus 28 balls. So the O's signed Brandon Young to a minor league contract in June 2020. This is his age 26 season. He, at the major league level in this regular season, has struggled. 7 starts, ERA of 7.34, whip of 1.76. The O's are missing so many key starting pitchers due to injury, and a result of that is a guy like Brandon Young being thrust into a spot for which he is not exactly suited, although a key Orioles starting pitcher is about to be back. More on that in moments. But the Orioles bullpen in this 6-3 loss at the Guardians on Tuesday evening was not good. 4 Orioles relievers combined to officially allow 3 runs in 3 2/3 innings. Andrew Kittredge officially tossed 2/3 of a scoreless inning. He in the bottom of the 5th faced 3 batters and got 2 outs, one of which was a 1-out RBI sac fly. He issued a 1-out intentional walk. Gregory Soto was a mess. He allowed 2 runs in 1 inning. He in the bottom of the 6th just could not get outs, could not find the strike zone. He allowed 2 runs, gave up 2 singles, and issued 3 walks and a wild pitch. Soto threw 33 pitches, just 14 strikes versus 19 balls. Yadier Cano allowed 1 run in 1 inning. He in the bottom of the 7th allowed a run on a walk, a single, and an RBI sac bunt. And Sir Anthony Dominguez tossed a perfect bottom of the 8th. As for the Orioles offense in this 6-3 loss at the Guardians on Tuesday evening, the O's scored just 3 runs, in total just 7 hits, which were a home run and 6 singles. The O's did work 6 walks, so went 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Ramon Laureano homered for a 2nd consecutive game. He is the Orioles starting right fielder and number 4 batter, went 1 for 4 with a solo homer. Laureano continues to produce. He, for this regular season, over 255 plate appearances, has an OPS of 861. You know, he's under contract through next season via a team option, but he's doing so well that you have to wonder if he's about to be traded. I mean, how much higher is the stock of Ramon Laureano ever going to be? Also playing for the O's on Tuesday evening was Kobe Mayo. He is the Orioles starting first baseman and number 8 batter. Went 1 for 1 with a single and 3 walks. Kobe Mayo, the O's took him in the 4th round of the 2020 MLB draft. This is his age 23 season. He's considered one of the Orioles' most promising young players, but he has been languishing as a reserve. He has barely been playing. Now, I know that he hasn't exactly killed it when he has played, but him languishing on the bench has not been doing him any good. This was just his 6th game in this month of July. Good to see him get on base 4 times on Tuesday evening. Game 3 for the O's at the Guardians Wednesday evening at 6:40. Zach Eflin will be the Orioles starting pitcher in his return from the 15-day injured list, which he has been on since June 30th, retroactive to June 29th due to lower back discomfort. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Thursday's show, episode 1118. We'll provide you with more on the Commanders as we on Wednesday have the first full team practice at 2025 Commanders training camp. Also on Thursday's show, I'll talk Nationals and Orioles. The Nats are home to the Cincinnati Reds Wednesday afternoon at 12:05 in Game 3 of a 3-game series. The O's are at the Cleveland Guardians Wednesday evening at 6:40 in Game 3 of a 4-game series. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to you on Thursday.
What has been communicated to you about Terry, whether reporting or not reporting? What's been communicated to you about him?
Yeah, we haven't spoken about that, but just like with really all of our players, we're expecting everybody to be here today.